Hi everyone, today I'm going to be talking about checking your skin for any worrying moles or signs of change. Now hang in there with me. I know it's not makeup and beauty, but it's really, really important. And I've interviewed an incredible doctor and dermatologist called Stefanie Williams. Dr. Stefanie Williams is based in London and she's a highly respected dermatologist. I've been waiting a long time to see her and I managed to interview her to ask her, what can my subscribers learn from you today? And she's given us a very simple breakdown of how to analyse and watch over for your skin. Now, I'm talking about moles because I have had a lot of sun exposure, unprotected sun exposure in my life. In short, had acne for like 2 decades. The advice then was to go and sit in the garden and burn your skin off. That's the only way it's going to heal. So unfortunately, I've got a lot of sun damage to come. In fact, when I went there today, I had a Visia, which is an amazing machine that analyses your skin. I scored on sun damage 33%. The average is 50. So I've got a lot of sun damage, but I know I have. So that's just the way it is. It would be ridiculous if I didn't. So I've got to take care of my skin, limit my exposure and make sure that I'm always protected. But I'm also worried about this little guy on my forehead. And I wanted to go and see the best that I could find to make sure I was making the right decision because quite frankly, I'd become friends with this mole. It's getting bigger and it's getting more raised, but I just couldn't imagine removing it because actually moles are very deep, got lots and lots of roots. So to have a sort of stitch and a scar on my forehead it's just something that I really didn't want to have. So I just sort of ignored it. But in my appointment with Dr. Stefanie, that she has now told me that rather than doing that, she can actually slice the mole off. So that will be, you know, completely flat. It will be obviously red and it will need to be covered for a couple of weeks. But she will be able to send it off to the lab because she's not 100% sure what it is and make sure that it's okay. So I might do that. I still haven't decided 100% yet, but I might do that. Dr. Stefanie Williams is an incredible dermatologist. She's also written 2 books, Future Proof Your Skin, which is her first book, and The Art of Looking Great, Not Done. I've seen this book, I've wanted to get my hands on this book. She very kindly gave them to me today. I haven't opened one page yet and I will probably share more information with the book with you, but I thought you would be very interested in these. So this is not just about me and what I'm doing because that's just, you know, too much of a one-way street. I said to Dr. Stefanie, please, can you share something with my subscribers? Like, now we're coming into summer, we're all exposing our skin a little bit more. What should we be doing? Should we all be going to have checks with our doctor, or can we do things for ourselves? And in the interview, she has given me a very simple ABCDE rule, which you can follow, and using those letters, you can identify certain things and certain changes that may be happening in your moles that should alert you to go and get it checked out. Anyway, it's very important that we all look after ourselves and we're all aware of what's happening to your skin. And also, if you've been really burnt and you remember the time you've been really, really burnt, you must watch that particular area because in a few years' time, you might have problems with that. The first holiday I had without my parents, I really burnt my chest hair just in between my boobs. I mean, really badly. And she said it's fine at the moment, but obviously the skin will darken as I age. But again, it's just being very mindful and savvy, right? Savvy about what's happening on your body and checking what's going on so that you don't leave anything too late. Watch the interview. I hope you learn a lot from it. And also, Dr. Stefanie has said that she's very happy to answer any of your questions below, which I think is brilliant. So if you have any questions, ask them below and I'm sure she will do her best to answer them. I hope you like me talking about things like this. It's very, very important. And I'm not doing it for Dr. Stefanie and I'm not doing it for money. I'm doing it because I feel really fortunate that I get to speak to the best people in my business so that I can impart really current, up-to-date, correct information to you guys so that you can make the best of yourselves and stay healthy. I hope you like the format and let me know down below. Bye for now. So I've talked about my personal experiences and coming to see the amazing Dr. Stefanie Williams. Thank you so much for giving me your time and your own personal treatment. And very kindly, you're going to give me some top tips for my subscribers on how to analyse their own skin and protect their skin in the sun.
Yes, absolutely. So it's really important to examine your own skin once per month, ideally. So when you get out of the shower, you are not getting dressed, and you also need a second mirror to look at your back and so on. And then you look at your whole body and check for any moles. And what you want to look out for, you can follow the ABCDE rule, really, to make sure that you know whether it's
ABCDE rule. Okay,
yes.
I didn't know that existed.
Yes, ABCD, but I will add an E onto that as well. So that gives you some hints whether this mole might be suspicious, and whether you then, of course, want to see a dermatologist to have it checked out. Okay. So let's start. A stands for asymmetry. So any mole where the two halves are not a mirror image, basically. Any asymmetric mole should be checked. Okay. B stands for borders, and borders means that the edge of the mole is maybe ragged or not clearly defined. So the border should be nice and sharp and not kind of ragged, basically. Okay. C stands for two things. Number one is color. So any change in color, and that's the second C, is actually change. So any change, whether it's a color change, so that might be whether the mole has become darker or lighter, whether it has grown in size, whether it's become more raised. Other changes like bleeding or itchiness or so, any changes in the mole should be checked. Okay. And D stands for diameter. And that basically means anything that is more than 5 millimeter in diameter, which is about the back of a pencil, you know, the little rubber at a pencil, that's about 5 millimeters. So anything bigger than that should ideally be checked.
I'm going to be going around with pencils now and then.
Yes, yes. So that's your ABCD rule. And then E stands for expert, really. So if any of those signs have come up positively, you should see a dermatologist, or your GP, who can refer you to a dermatologist to have those moles checked. And they will use an instrument called a dermatoscope, which is a cross-polarized magnifying glass, where I can see the pigment structure of that mole under the skin, and that will give me really valuable hints whether this is a completely healthy mole or whether we might have to take it out to send it for examination under the microscope.
What about moles that bleed or catch on belts, or should you be worried about those?
So if they are raised moles and they bleed because they're catching, so for mechanical reasons, basically because you traumatize them, that's not necessarily a bad sign. It might just be the trauma itself that caused the bleeding. But if you've got moles that bleed spontaneously or bleed too easily if they catch, that can be a sign of something sinister that has to be checked.
And through my consultation, I explained to you that sometimes when I was younger, I burnt myself in particular areas. You've now told me that I really need to watch those areas as I age to make sure that I'm aware of them.
Yes, absolutely. So any areas where you've burned have a higher risk of skin cancer in later life. That doesn't mean that skin areas where you haven't burned are completely safe and you can't develop a skin cancer. It's just that the risk is higher in burned areas, especially multiple sunburns in the past. So I would just do a full skin check once per month at home, just fresh when you come out of the shower, to make sure nothing is changing. There are quite useful apps as well.
That's right, you mentioned that,
where you can take a photo of your mole and it puts like a ruler next to it. And then there's a body map where you can say this photo comes from this anatomical body area. And that simply is not for diagnostic reasons, so you can't diagnose a benign or not benign mole yourself, but it just allows you to notice changes over time. Because if you always see a mole, you know the mole might change, but because it's such a slow change, you're not noticing it. But if you have a photograph and you take a new photograph every month, you can see if it's changing, if it's getting bigger or darker or lighter or anything like that, and then that should trigger to see a doctor and have it checked out.
That's really great advice, and I'll put that down in the description box. And if you want to come and see Dr. Stefanie yourself, then all those details will also be in the description box. And you do everything here.
Yes,
don't you?
yes,
From excessive sweating to warts to Botox to skin lasering.
Yes, absolutely. We are a fusion clinic, one of the very few dermatology fusion clinics. So we do medical and cosmetic dermatology. So if you are worried about lines and wrinkles, or about a mole that we think might have changed, we've got everything under one roof.
I think it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And you've written 2 amazing books as well. How to eat yourself well to produce great skin quality as well, which I haven't read and I will read. I didn't realise you'd written that, so something I'm quite interested in. So
I'll give you a copy today.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for your time, and any questions that you'd like to ask Dr. Stefanie, then she will get involved with the questions below. Stay safe in the sun and keep well. Bye for now.
Bye.